On a distant planet, a war had started between humans and the native alien people. No one really remembered who started the war or why, but now both sides fought each other every day. Matt was a young American soldier. He was not the bravest or the strongest in his team. He was just a simple man who wanted to do his job and go home. He missed his family and wished to see Earth again, but his orders were clear. He had to help his team rescue human hostages taken by the aliens. It was a dangerous mission. The morning was quiet as Matt and his team moved through the broken forest. The ground was muddy, the trees looked strange. The air was cold and filled with smoke. Matt looked at his friend Ethan. Ethan gave a small smile to help him feel brave. Their leader gave a signal and the team moved forward. Suddenly, loud sounds filled the air, blasts and bright lights. The aliens had set a trap. Everyone started shouting. Matt could hear people calling for help. He tried to stay close to his team, but the smoke became thick and he lost sight of them. He ran between the trees, his heart pounding in his chest. He heard more explosions and shouting behind him. He tripped over something and fell into a deep ditch. The world above became quiet again. Matt stayed still for a moment, trying to breathe. He listened for voices, but he heard nothing. When he stood up, he realized he was alone. His radio was broken. He had no way to call for help. He had only his small weapon and a little water. He started walking, hoping to find his friends or any other humans. But as he walked, he noticed strange footprints in the mud. They were not human. Matt followed the footprints quietly. Maybe they belonged to the aliens, but he had no choice. He did not want to be lost forever. The footprints led him to a small cave. Inside it was dark and quiet. He waited at the entrance, listening. Then he heard a small sound like someone breathing. He slowly entered the cave, his weapon ready. In the darkness, he saw a shape lying on the ground. It was small and shaking. As Matt came closer, he saw a young alien girl. Her skin was a strange color, with patterns like the trees outside. She was hurt, and her arm was bleeding. She looked scared and tried to hide her face. Matt did not know what to do. He remembered his orders. Do not trust the aliens. But the girl did not look dangerous. She looked weak and afraid. Matt lowered his weapon and spoke softly. He said he was not going to hurt her. The girl did not answer, but she looked at him with big eyes. Matt slowly took out his water and offered it to her. She hesitated, then took a small sip. He used part of his shirt to wrap her arm. He did not know if it would help, but he wanted to do something kind. The girl watched him with surprise. She said her name was Lyra in a soft voice. Matt was surprised that she spoke his language, even if her words were strange and slow. Lyra told Matt that she was hiding from her own people. She was not safe and she had no friends nearby. Matt asked why, but she only shook her head. Matt felt sorry for her. He remembered his family and how scared he felt when he was alone. He decided he could not leave her there. He promised Lyra he would help her. She looked at him as if she could not believe it. Matt knew he was breaking the rules, but he felt it was the right thing to do. Suddenly, loud voices were heard outside the cave. Both Matt and Lyra became silent. The voices spoke in a strange alien language. Lyra looked at Matt with fear. Matt quickly told her to stay quiet. He held his weapon tightly, ready to protect her if he had to. They waited in the dark, hoping the voices would go away. For a long time, nothing happened. Then the voices faded. Matt and Lyra could finally breathe again. They knew it was not safe to stay in the cave. Matt helped Lyra stand up. She was weak, but she tried to be brave. Together, they left the cave and walked into the strange forest. Matt did not know what would happen next. He was just a soldier, lost and far from home, and now he had to protect someone who was supposed to be his enemy. But as he looked at Lyra, he felt a small bit of hope. Maybe they could survive together. Maybe things could change. Matt and Lyra moved through the strange forest, careful not to make noise. The trees were tall and bent in different ways, and the ground was soft and damp under their feet. Matt held his small weapon, ready to protect Lyra if danger came. Lyra walked beside him, holding her hurt arm close to her body. She was quiet, but Matt could see how tired she was. Every few steps, she would look around as if she was afraid someone was watching them. Matt tried to talk to her, but Lyra spoke little. She told him that the forest was not safe and that many soldiers, both human and alien, were looking for her. She explained that she was not just any alien girl. She was the princess of her people, but now even her own family was not safe for her. Matt listened and tried to understand. He had never met anyone like Lyra before. He could see she was scared, but he also saw that she was strong. She did not complain, even though she was in pain. After a long walk, Matt saw an old broken ship hidden under some large plants. He thought it could be a good place to rest for a while. Inside it was dark, but dry. He helped Lyra sit down. He shared his water and a small piece of food. Lyra ate slowly and thanked him. Matt used his first aid kit to clean her wound better. He did not have much, but he did his best. Lyra winced, but she smiled and said, "Thank you." Matt wished he could do more for her. While they rested, Lyra told Matt more about her life. She said she had never wanted the war. She liked learning about other worlds and hoped for peace. She told him about her home, with beautiful gardens and singing birds. Matt closed his eyes and tried to imagine it. He told Lyra about Earth, about the blue sky, green fields, and his family. Lyra listened and seemed interested. For a short time they forgot the war and just talked like friends, but soon they heard voices outside. Matt quickly stood up and told Lyra to hide. They waited in silence as a group of alien soldiers passed by the ship. Matt held his breath. The soldiers looked around but did not see them. When the voices were gone, Matt and Lyra relaxed. Lyra thanked Matt for staying with her. She said many humans would have left her alone, but Matt had helped her. Matt said he could not leave someone in need, no matter where they were from. As the sun went down, Matt knew they had to move again. It was not safe to stay in one place for too long. He helped Lyra stand. She was getting weaker, but she wanted to keep going. Matt promised to protect her and help her find a safe place. Lyra trusted him. She said he was different from the other humans she had heard about. They walked through the night, trying to stay hidden. Matt used his small light to guide the way. They avoided paths and walked between trees and rocks. Lyra tried to stay strong, but her steps were slow. Matt wanted to carry her, but she said she could walk. They moved as quietly as they could. Sometimes they heard sounds in the distance, but they did not stop. Matt's mind was full of worry, but he kept moving for Lyra's sake. When they finally stopped to rest, Matt checked Lyra's wound again. It was worse than before. He was afraid she would not make it if they did not find help soon. He tried to comfort her. He told her a story about his dog back home and made her smile. Lyra said she wished she could see Earth one day. Matt promised that if they made it out, he would show her his world. Lyra smiled, and Matt felt a little hope. In the middle of the night, Matt heard something. He told Lyra to stay quiet. He saw lights in the trees. Someone was coming. Matt hid Lyra behind some rocks and got ready to fight if he had to. The lights came closer. Matt could hear voices in the alien language. Lyra held his hand. Matt whispered that he would keep her safe, no matter what happened. They waited, scared, but ready. Matt knew they could not run forever, but he also knew he would do anything to protect Lyra, even if it meant risking his own life. The night was cold and quiet. Matt and Lyra hid behind the rocks, waiting for the danger to pass. The strange lights moved through the trees. Matt held his breath and kept his weapon close. Lyra was shaking, not only from fear but also from pain and weakness. She squeezed Matt's hand, and he tried to give her a small smile, hoping to help her feel less scared. The voices grew louder. Matt listened carefully. He heard both alien and human voices. It was a mixed patrol searching for the princes and any lost human soldiers. Matt knew if they were found, it would be the end for both of them. He whispered to Lyra to stay very still. The patrol moved closer. Matt saw shadows on the trees, and his heart beat faster. But then the patrol changed direction and walked away, their voices fading into the darkness. Matt waited until he was sure they were gone. Only then did he let out a long breath. Lyra looked at him, her eyes tired but thankful. Matt helped her up, and they moved farther into the forest. They walked slowly because Lyra's wound was hurting her more now. Matt kept looking around for any sign of help or danger. After some time, they found a small stream. Matt helped Lyra wash her wound and gave her more water to drink. Lyra was quiet, but she watched Matt with curious eyes. She asked him why he was helping her, even though she was supposed to be his enemy. Matt thought about it. He said he could not leave someone who needed help, no matter where they came from. He told her that war made people forget about kindness, but he did not want to forget. Lyra nodded and said she wished more people thought like him. Matt asked Lyra more about her people. Lyra told him that her kingdom was in trouble. She said her uncle wanted the throne, and that was why she was in danger. Many in her own family did not support her. She had tried to stop the war, but nobody wanted to listen. Matt felt sad for her. He could see that she was just a young girl who wanted peace, not power. They rested by the stream for a while. Matt shared the last of his food with Lyra. He tried to make her laugh by telling a story about his little brother at home. Lyra smiled a little, and for a moment they both felt a bit less alone. But soon they heard movement in the bush again. This time it was not soldiers. It was a small animal looking for food. Matt let out a sigh of relief. As the sun began to rise, Matt and Lyra started walking again. Lyra was very tired, and Matt had to help her walk. The forest was getting brighter, and they could see more paths now. They needed to find shelter and maybe some food. Matt looked for anything that could help them. He found some berries on a bush and gave some to Lyra. She tasted them and said they were safe to eat. They ate the berries and felt a little stronger. Soon, they found an old building. It looked broken and empty, but it was better than nothing. Matt checked inside to make sure it was safe. He found some old blankets and a small light. He made a place for Lyra to rest. She was so tired that she fell asleep right away. Matt sat beside her and watched the door, keeping guard. While Lyra slept, Matt thought about everything that had happened. He remembered his team and wondered if they were still alive. He worried about what would happen if they were caught. But most of all, he thought about Lyra. He knew he was supposed to be her enemy, but now he cared about her. He wanted to keep her safe. He did not understand everything, but he felt like he was doing the right thing. After a few hours, Lyra woke up. She looked better, but she was still weak. Matt gave her some water and helped her sit up. Lyra said she felt safer with Matt than she had with anyone in a long time. She thanked him again. Matt smiled and said he was glad to help. They both knew they could not stay in the building for long. Sooner or later, someone would find them. Matt talked with Lyra about what to do next. Lyra said there was a place in the mountains where some of her people still supported her. If they could reach that place, they might be safe for a while. Matt agreed to help her get there. He promised to stay with her no matter what happened. Together, they planned to leave the building at night. Matt checked his weapon and packed the old blankets. Lyra tried to stand by herself, but she needed Matt's help. As the sun set again, they left the broken building and walked towards the mountains. Matt felt tired and scared, but he also felt strong. He was not just a lost soldier now. He was someone who had to protect a friend. As they walked into the dark, Matt hoped they would find safety and maybe even a chance for peace. Matt and Lyra moved through the forest as night fell. The air was cool and quiet, but every small sound made them stop and listen. Matt led the way, helping Lyra walk over the rough ground. She leaned on him when she got tired. Sometimes she whispered the way to go. She said they must reach the old path that led to the mountains, where her loyal people might help them. Matt was careful. He did not want anyone to follow them or find them before they were safe. After walking for hours, they stopped to rest under a big tree. Matt gave Lyra some water. He saw she was trying to stay brave, but her face showed pain. He wished he had better medicine for her, but he only had what was left in his kit. He cleaned her wound again, and Lyra smiled a little. She told him stories about the stars on her world and how she used to watch them with her mother. Matt listened and tried to help her forget about the danger for a little while. Soon they heard voices in the distance. Matt and Lyra hid behind a fallen log. The voices were human. Matt listened hard. He heard Ethan's voice. Ethan was Matt's old friend. From his squad. Matt felt hope and fear at the same time. He wanted help, but he was afraid Ethan would not understand why he was with an alien princess. The group came closer, their lights shining through the trees. Matt stood up and called out to Ethan. The soldiers pointed their weapons at him, but when they saw Matt, they lowered them. Ethan came over, surprised to see Matt alive. He asked where Matt had been. Matt told him a little about what happened. Ethan saw Lara behind Matt and looked at her with wide eyes. The other soldiers were curious too. Matt told them Lara was not a threat, that she needed help, but Ethan did not believe him. He said they could get a reward for finding the alien princess. Ethan wanted to call the leaders and turn her in. Matt tried to explain that Lyra was not their enemy. He said she only wanted peace. The other soldiers were not sure who to believe. A loud argument started. Ethan said Matt was risking his own life and their mission for an alien. Matt stood in front of Lara and said he would protect her no matter what. Ethan became angry. He said Matt was a traitor for helping the enemy. Matt said he was only doing what he thought was right. The fight grew louder until one of the soldiers fired a warning shot in the air. Everyone became silent. The sound echoed through the forest. Ethan ordered his men to take Lyra. Matt blocked their way. Two soldiers tried to grab Lyra, but Matt fought back. He pushed one away and held the other off with his weapon. Lyra screamed, afraid for Matt. Ethan tried to stop Matt, but Matt did not give up. In the struggle, Ethan knocked Matt down and the soldiers captured Lyra. Matt was hurt and could not get up. Ethan told the others to tie Matt's hands. He said they would all go back to base and get their reward. Matt shouted that they were making a mistake, but no one listened. Lyra looked at Matt as the soldiers led her away. Her eyes were full of fear and sadness. Matt felt helpless. He was angry at Ethan and at himself for not being able to protect Lyra. The soldiers dragged Matt with them as they moved through the forest. The group marched for hours. Matt kept trying to talk to Ethan, but Ethan would not listen. He only cared about the reward and his orders. When they stopped to rest, Ethan left Matt under a tree with his hands tied. Matt felt hopeless. He worried about Lyra. He did not know what would happen to her. He tried to think of a way to escape, but his hands were tied too tight. The forest was dark and cold. Matt closed his eyes and remembered Lyra's stories about the stars. He wished he could help her. Suddenly, Matt heard a noise in the bush. He opened his eyes. He saw a small shadow moving near him. It was Lyra. Somehow, she had escaped the soldiers. She knelt beside Matt and quickly untied his hands. Matt whispered thanks and stood up. Lyra pointed to the other soldiers. Most were asleep, but Ethan was still awake, watching the fire. Matt and Lyra moved quietly, careful not to make a sound. They took a long way around the camp, hiding in the dark. Lyra led Matt to a safe place in the forest. When they were far enough away, they stopped to rest. Lyra hugged Matt. She said she could not leave him behind. Matt thanked her for saving him. He promised her again that he would never leave her, no matter what happened. Together they planned what to do next. The danger was not over, but they were free again and had each other. Matt and Lyra walked silently through the forest, staying close to the trees. They kept moving until they were far from the camp. The moon was dim but enough to guide them. Lyra held Matt's hand tightly. She was tired, but her spirit was strong. Matt looked at her wound. It was getting better, but still slow to heal. He wished they could find help soon. They came to a small clearing. In the middle, Lyra saw an old path she remembered from her childhood. She told Matt that this path led to the foothills of the mountains where some of her people waited. They hoped to find safe shelter there. Matt felt relief. At least they had a goal. They followed the path for hours, walking carefully. The forest grew thinner. The ground became stony. Matt helped Lyra step over rocks. She leaned on him when her leg hurt. They stopped once to rest under a large rock. Matt bandaged her wound again and gave her water. Lyra smiled and said thank you. Matt said he was happy to help as dawn came. They saw the foothills ahead. The land was wide and empty. Matt and Lyra felt small in the big world. The air was cool and fresh. Lyra closed her eyes and breathed deeply. She said she felt hope again. Matt placed his hand on her shoulder. He told her that they would be safe soon. They started to climb the low hills. The path was hard, but they were careful. Matt carried Lyra's small bag and his own. He also carried Lyra when she could not walk. They helped each other. Lyra told Matt more about her people. She said they were hidden in caves in the mountains. These people believed in peace and wanted the war to end. Matt asked how many people were there. Lyra said maybe 100. She said they were waiting for her, but they were afraid. Matt said he would help make them brave again. They reached the top of a hill. Before them was a group of caves along the mountainside. They saw lights and heard soft voices. Matt and Lyra walked down quietly towards the caves. At the entrance they saw several aliens in simple clothes. They looked surprised when they saw Lyra. She called to them softly. The aliens came forward, helping Lyra embrace her friends. Matt stayed back, unsure if they would accept him. Lyra spoke to them in their language. She told them about the war, the human soldiers chasing her, and Matt helping her. The group listened in silence. Then one of them nodded and told the others in a serious voice. They looked at Matt. Matt lifted his hands and said he meant no harm. He told them he only wanted to help Lyra and keep peace. One of the aliens walked closer. He was tall and had kind eyes. He asked Matt why he risked his life for Lyra. Matt looked at Lyra, then at the group. He said he saw her as a person in need. He said war made people forget they were all the same. The alien leader looked at Matt. Silence fell. Then the leader nodded slowly and turned to his group. They spoke quietly, then came forward. They offered Matt water and food. Matt felt relieved. The group took them inside a large cave. It was simple but warm. They showed Lyra a place to rest and a bed of soft leaves. Matt was given a corner to sleep. They brought hot drink for both of them. The hot drink warmed Matt's hands. Lyra smiled at him and held his hand under the leaves. Matt smiled back. That night, Matt and Lyra sat with the group around a small fire. They ate simple food. Lyra joined in the talk. Matt listened. He heard about the kingdom, the struggle for power, and the fear of her uncle. The people said they believed Lyra was the rightful princess. They wanted to help her take her throne and stop the war. Some of them feared humans would use their hunger for land as a reason to destroy the alien world. But others thought that Lyra could help humans and aliens live in peace. Matt spoke to the group in Lyra's language. His words were basic, but they understood him. He said he wanted to help build peace. The people listened with surprise. One of the older aliens said, "Maybe humans can learn from you." Matt felt hope in his chest. During the night, Lyra told Matt she felt safe for the first time. Matt kissed her forehead and said she was safe now. She rested her head on his shoulder. Matt looked at the group. They seemed to accept him. Matt knew that this was just the beginning. There would be hard days ahead. They would need to fight, plan, and make choices that could change both worlds. But for the first time, Matt did not feel alone. He had Lyra by his side and a group that believed in them both. They fell asleep to the sound of the fire and quiet. Talking, Matt held Lyra's hand. They both dreamed of a new future, a future without war, where humans and aliens could live together. And in that cave under the mountain, hope began to grow. Matt and Lyra stayed in the village, helping the people build stronger defenses. Every day, more people came from other villages to join them. They brought food, weapons, and news from the kingdom. Some had seen the uncle's soldiers moving around looking for Lyra and the growing resistance. Matt knew the uncle would attack soon with a large army. He helped the villagers train and made plans to protect the mountains. At night, Matt and Lyra sat by the fire and talked about the future. Lyra said she wanted peace more than anything. She wanted children to play without fear and families to live without hunger. Matt listened and promised he would help her make that dream come true. He had never felt so sure about anything in his life. One morning, a messenger came with urgent news. The uncle had learned about their mountain camp and was sending a big army to destroy it. Lyra called a meeting with all the village leaders and fighters. Matt stood beside her as she spoke. She told the people they had to be strong and not give up. She said the uncle ruled by fear, but they could break his power if they stayed united. Matt explained his plan. He wanted to set traps along the narrow paths and use the mountain's high ground to slow the uncle's army. He showed the fighters how to hide and attack from the trees. The people listened and worked hard to get ready. They knew this was their only chance. When the uncle's army came, they were loud and sure of victory. But Matt and the villagers were ready. The first traps exploded under the soldiers' feet. Rocks rolled down from above and arrows flew from the trees. The uncle's soldiers tried to fight back, but they could not see where the attacks were coming from. The battle lasted all day and night. Matt fought beside the villagers, moving fast and helping wherever he could. In the middle of the fight, Matt saw Lyra standing on a small hill, calling out to her people. She told them not to give up, that the future was in their hands. Her voice was strong and the people listened. Even when they were tired and scared, they kept fighting. Matt was proud of her. She was not just a princess now. She was a true leader. Slowly, the uncle's army began to fall back. They left behind weapons and wounded men. Matt and the villagers chased them out of the mountains. When the fighting stopped, the people cheered and hugged each other. They had won the battle, but they knew the war was not finished. Later, Lyra met with Matt and the leaders again. They talked about what to do next. Lyra said they had to move fast and take back the capital city before the uncle brought more soldiers. Matt agreed. He said the people were ready. They had hope and courage now. They needed to keep moving forward. For days, the villagers and fighters prepared for the long journey. They fixed weapons, packed food, and planned their path to the capital. Matt showed them how to march quietly and watch for danger. Lyra spoke to the people every night, reminding them of what they were fighting for before they left. Lyra and Matt stood together on a hill and looked down at the village. Matt said he never thought he would fight in a war like this, but he was glad he had found her. Lyra said she could not have survived without him. She took his hand and said they would face the future together. Matt nodded. He felt strong and ready. The next day, the army left the mountains and started the march to the capital. Matt walked beside Lyra, always watching for danger. He knew the uncle would try to stop them, but he believed they could win. He believed in Lyra and in the people who had come together to fight for freedom. As they walked, people came out of their homes and joined them. They brought food, water, and old weapons. They cheered when they saw Lyra and Matt. The small army grew larger every day. Matt felt hope growing in his heart. He was just a soldier from Earth, but here he had found a new purpose. He wanted to build a better world with Lyra and these people who had become his family. At night, Matt lay under the stars and thought about everything that had happened. He was tired, but he was not afraid. He looked at Lyra sleeping beside him and knew he would protect her with his life. The road ahead was dangerous, but he was ready. They were all ready. Together, they would march to the capital and end the uncle's rule once and for all. The great hall was filled with soft light from long crystal lamps. Matt stood beside Lyra, feeling nervous as many alien leaders and human guests gathered around them. He wore clothes made by Lyra's people, smooth and shining, very different from his old soldier uniform. Lyra stood tall, wearing her royal robe, but she gently held Matt's hand to comfort him. After many hard days, peace was finally near. With the help of loyal friends, Lyra had taken back control from her uncle. The people had seen the truth. Her uncle had lied and caused the war to take power. Lyra had shown them the proof, and Matt had stood beside her the whole time. He spoke to both humans and aliens, telling them what he had seen, and people had listened. His simple words had touched many hearts. Now, a new peace was being made between their two worlds. Human leaders had come to talk and agree with the alien council. Everyone wanted the fighting to end. The people saw Lyra not just as a princess, but as a strong and wise leader, and they saw Matt as more than a soldier. They saw him as a hero, someone who had saved Lyra and helped bring peace. The old elder of the alien people stepped forward. He was slow but proud. His voice was calm and deep as he spoke to the crowd. He told the story of Lyra's escape and Matt's bravery. He spoke of how two enemies became friends and how that friendship gave hope to both sides. Then the elder looked at Lyra. He asked if she was ready to lead her people. Lyra said she was. She said she would guide them with peace and wisdom. The crowd cheered. But then the elder turned to Matt. He asked him if he would stay beside Lyra, not just as her protector, but as her partner. Matt looked at Lyra, surprised. They had not talked about this. Lyra smiled at him, her eyes full of trust. Matt took a deep breath. He was not born to be a king. He was just a soldier from Earth, but he remembered all they had been through. He remembered the long walks, the pain, the fear, the laughs, and the hope. He remembered the promise he made to stay with Lyra no matter what, so he said yes. The people clapped and cheered again. Lyra reached out and took his hand. Together they stood before the crowd. The elder placed a light crown on Lyra's head, and then a smaller one on Matt's. It was simple but beautiful. It meant they were now rulers together. Not because of power, but because of what they had done and what they still planned to do. After the ceremony, there was music and dancing. Food was shared and people from both worlds laughed together. Matt spoke with a young human girl who asked if he really fought off soldiers to save Lyra. He laughed and said, "Yes, but she saved me too." That made the girl smile. Later, Matt and Lyra stood on a balcony looking over the city. The sky above was full of stars. Matt pointed to a small bright one and said, "That's Earth." Lyra looked at it and said she hoped to visit it one day. Matt told her he would take her there when the time was right. For now, he said, they had work to do here. Lyra said the people needed hope, and now they had it. She said she believed peace could last, but only if both sides worked hard. Matt agreed. He was ready to help. Not with weapons, but with words. Ideas and fairness. In the days that followed, Matt learned more about the alien world. He listened to the people, heard their stories, and tried to help. Some still did not trust humans, and some humans did not trust aliens. But Matt and Lyra stayed strong. They visited schools, spoke to workers, and helped repair the cities hurt by war. Every night they would sit and talk about the future. Matt would tell Lyra about Earth. Lyra would teach Matt about her world's history. They laughed often and cried sometimes. But they always stayed together. In time, people began to say the kingdom was better than before. Trade and learning grew. Soldiers became peacekeepers. Old enemies sat at the same table. And though it was not perfect, it was better. It was a start. Matt had never dreamed of becoming a king. But he found that true power was not in titles or crowns. It was in standing up for what was right. It was in helping others. It was in kindness. And so the human soldier who once crashed alone in a foreign land now stood at the heart of a new world. He was not alone anymore. He had Lyra. He had the people. He had a home. And for the first time, Matt truly felt like he belonged.